Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I was making a video a minute in, and then I looked at my phone and said it was trying to connect to a hotspot. I don't even have that turned on, so I'm not really sure what was going on there, but it cut off my video when it did that. So, yeah, I'll try again, but as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, for which you will never see, was that I had an interesting dream last night, very interesting night. First of all, it looked like, I took a picture of it to the best of my ability, but it looked like Michael Jackson was projected onto my wall. What's up, buddy? He was projected onto my wall by way of the way that my window and the plants outside of the window were structured. It looked like the face of Michael Jackson on the door. 3 in the morning, after I wake up out of a weird dream, and that's the first thing I see, I say, Michael Jackson. I tried to take a picture of it, but in doing so, it kind of messed it up, so you couldn't really see it. But it was plastered on there though, for a good 3-4 minutes. It wasn't like there was anything outside. It was still dark. It had to be about 4 o'clock in the morning. And so what I was able to see was that plastered on my door. I'm like, how is that? What is that? Like, anyway. So that was interesting, and the dream I had was really interesting. Essentially, I was in the car with my mom, another one of those weird mom dreams, where she was driving, and we were near Longview at the top of the hill area where I often walk. I've taken pictures over there and done a video over there when I did a walkthrough on Longview. But before you actually go down the hill that leads to my old street, it's like a little pathway that you can go around the hills and stuff like that. And we were driving down that direction as if we were going to bypass the turn to go down to where we lived and go back and through the hills. And we were driving normally. I'm riding in the car with her. And then all of a sudden a car, some type of truck, pulls up alongside of us. Now, physics be damned, because that street isn't big enough for what it is my dream was telling me. So at some point in time when I realized, yo, this is not a 3-lane street, I realized I was dreaming. So I realized I was dreaming, I think, before the dream actually ended. But something pulled alongside of us, big truck type. I don't know if it was a flatbed, I couldn't tell you, but it was a big truck. And then another car on the other side of us, for which that street ain't even big enough for that. But nevertheless, and not to mention to be driving in the same direction, that would not be possible. So whatever the case may be, as soon as these two cars, the vehicles drive alongside us, she decides to floor it. She speeds, but the problem was the area that we were driving in my dream, though this is not actually like this because this is surrounded by hills in real life, but in my dream it was almost like you're on Mulholland Drive. There's nothing or you driving up to Big Bear, or for those who have areas that they're familiar with that don't have any barriers on the side and a large drop off, as if you could tumble down a hill if you don't drive straight or drive properly. But the problem was, it was a curvature, so it was almost like we were going up a mountain. Very, very, very deep curves, like narrow curves. And she's speeding, flooring it, trying to, I guess, either run from those people or outrace them. And I'm telling her, Mom, you are going to kill us. This is an area where you have to go around a hill. It's not even like you have a straight way to speed. You're speeding with nothing on the edge of you. We're gonna go off the cliff. And she's like, no, I got this, I know what I'm doing. And she speeds and speeds and speeds. And of course the car loses control and we go flying off a damn cliff. But the problem was, when we landed, we were landing on the other side of where, in front of our apartment. So none of this made any sense physically at all. But instead of going off a cliff, we ended up spinning in front of the apartment. And when we got out the car, The car was like this big, smashed up into a cube. And we were, one of the people came running out of the apartment we used to live in and asked us, you know, are we okay? And I'm like, hell no, I'm not okay. This woman tried to kill me. Speaking of my mother, like, she's trying to kill us both. Speeding off a damn cliff like she ain't got no damn sense when there's no suspension surrounding the area and no straightaway to do so. You're destined to die doing what she did. I assumed that I was dead. Like, what was this, heaven? Like, we in hell? What is this? Because we definitely ain't alive. And the person asked me, how did you get out of that car? How did you get out of that? And I walked over and picked it up, and it was like this size. Just mashed up metal about this size. I'm like, I couldn't tell you how we got out of that. I can't tell you how we got out of that. But I was like, I know you need to get this, you need to call the cops and have this woman arrested, though. And my mom was like, we made it, though. We survived. I'm like, nah, you going to jail. I'm not dealing with you. You try to kill us. You going to prison. And I woke up out of my dream. And that was when I opened my eyes, I saw Michael Jackson on my wall. So that's the dream I had. That is exactly how that went. It's like the second night in a row where I had some type of dream where I wasn't safe in a vehicle riding somehow. Remember I was telling you the last time, it was like a 3-part dream where one of the parts was me having my face planted on a windshield because I wanted to sit up front with somebody and didn't have no seat up there or something. It was weird, man. But it's a lot of stuff that has to do with not being safe, speeding, doing unsafe behaviors outside of my will. Having dreams like that ever since I left that therapy session. When that one, my therapist was telling me, you know, we want to bring forth incremental, more stressful circumstances into your life. We want to go towards stress and work it into the equation slowly but surely so we can hurry up and see progress. Ever since she introduced the idea that I needed to hurry up and get better, I've been having dreams like this. So I believe those two things are equated to one another. And so, you know, it just is what it is. I don't like being rushed into anything, least of all into healing in regards to mental health issues that I've had for 40 years. If I could turn it off, I'd turn it off. You know, that's been my way of approaching this, is just saying, yo, if it weren't a problem, I wouldn't need to go to therapy. So, yeah, that's been part of it, but you know, it just is what it is, man. Logic is often ignored when people don't have time for whatever reason, or when there's money on the line. It's like suddenly you just got to hurry up and get better. Like if that's what this was, it wouldn't be the problem that it is. So I don't know. I believe that my dreams are echoing my frustration with that. I think that's what's going on. I believe that I'm interpreting my dreams essentially people saying, yo, you got to hurry up and do something that otherwise you would deem unsafe. And so I don't know if that's what it is, some ballpark like that. I think that's what's going on there. But yeah, man, after that I went back to sleep. I stayed up for about an hour and went back to sleep. Woke up at like 9:30, got up and did my routine, shaved, and ate and got out the house. You know, that's really it. Listened to a lot of content on the Lakers and stuff like that this morning. Didn't do too much thinking at all after them dreams. It wasn't like I was sitting there meditating on that. I really didn't. I'm just like, well, that's what it was. So yeah, man, I knew I would get out today. I was definitely certain I wanted to walk around and get some exercise since I've had so many days in the house that this week that I didn't really want to spend in there. I definitely was going to utilize this day to do something. Not really concerned about hurrying back home today or anything like that. So that's the good part. You know, Laker game to try to rush back to, or nothing that would otherwise keep myself in this area. So yeah, man, I feel good about that. I feel really good at getting whatever break I can away from that particular grind. I do have to watch some highlights though for tomorrow's game, but we only got one game left before the playoffs, and so that couldn't come soon enough, man. But yeah, that's really what it is. You know, watching stuff in regards to the Gaza situation. We always want to keep us up on that. I think, there's a lady, I don't know her name, so it's kind of hard for me to report on what it is that's being said, but one of the more prominent figures in the Israeli side of conversation, her daughters essentially came out and said that she had SA'd her brother, and her father also had some partake in it, and that these things have been recorded. That's what's being said. So one of them prominent Israeli figures is being alleged by her own daughter to be having abused her, and the rest of the family did as well. And so, depravity, man, depravity. I want us to all pay attention to the depravity surrounding the people who are supporting this genocide, because what you're going to find out is a consistency of a detachment from humanity in a lot of cases. You're just going to find that's going to be normal, because anybody that supports the murdering and slaughtering of children, slaughtering of people just because of their race, is going to also have other things about them that is absolutely and utterly depraved. It just comes with the spiritual nature of such support. You dig into their Googles, dig into their anything that they have that is an imprint of their mind, and you're probably going to find some depravity, sexual depravity, violent depravity, some type of fetish for something. You're going to find it. It's there, because that's the spiritual essence of supporting such a thing. And a lot of people are spiritually bankrupt. They don't read energy. They don't understand energy. They don't believe in God. They don't know nothing about spirituality. It's all about what you can touch. It's all about what you can earn. It's all about who you can prove something to in regards to human beings, trying to appeal to people's brains and getting people support and all that. That's what people think the world is about. But there are spiritual imprints on everything that people do. And if you support evil, actual evil, then chances are you're going to be used by the devil in some other way, or have some demon that you need fed inside of you that nobody knows about. It's just the essence of it. It's the essence of it. And we've talked about that, but that's going to be normal as you start to see more revealed about the people of the Zionist movement. You're going to find out a good portion of them, a massive portion of them, are going to have some type of sick depravity or demon that needs fed, or some type of deep wickedness in the outlook of the world. It comes with the essence of what it is they support. And so I just wanted to say that. I think that's going to be very prominent, is the sicko energy and the sicko secrets of the people behind this genocide. Very prominent. So yeah, man, I've been thinking about that, praying about that. And the Lord has let me know more or less that's what's true. That's what's going on. A lot of these people are really messed up. They're really messed up. Dealing with a real darkness with that particular energy, man. A lot of people are used to the demons they're used to. In this country, we're used to the demons that are in individuals and make them violent, make them sex sickos, make them pack together and exalt their pack and discard everybody else. We're used to a lot of stuff, people stealing from one another in one way or another, embezzling and all this different type of stuff. Hard crime, soft crime, American crime, we're used to certain things. But when it comes to this particular demon, I believe we're going to find some things that are a little foreign to us as it pertains to just how depraved and how normalized their depravity is amongst them. You're going to find out they're a little different. Like, it takes something different within people to engage in what it is that they're trying to accomplish, while simultaneously trying to believe lies and force everybody else to go along with those delusions. It's a different type of sickness. It's a different type of evil. And that's what I'm basically meditating on, kind of in a way, as I think about these situations. These people, the ones who are doing that, they got other stuff wrong with them that they don't see as a people is wrong. But if we're exposed to the rest of us, we'd be like, do you find that normal? You're going to find a lot of that going on with them. A whole lot of that. You find that normal? Yes, they do. It's a lot of stuff. And they want you to find it normal too, but they understand that you're a long way away from that. Long way away from that. So they try to hide it from you. So they try to keep that information or that energy or those secrets away from you. But amongst one another, they support that. It's fine to support rapists so long as they're pointing their sicko sexual ways at people that they deem are their enemy. Like, that's not normal for us. We don't, we see people kill people, hurt children, and we say give them the death penalty, right? I never heard an American, not one of credible mind, say we need to R-word them, or we need to have people who are sickos R-word them. Usually we'll hear something like that in the deepest, darkest spaces of crime. You know what I mean? That type of thing. That's when you hear that type of opinion. When people are depraved of decency, when they amongst people who are doing awful things to other people, you might hear that. But in the presence of people who consider themselves civilized, that's not going to be something that we would say makes sense. You want to throw people in jail for the worst things you can think of, maybe give them the chair if you support that. That's an American normalcy as it pertains to how we handle people who we deem are a threat to us or our children and our families. Right? Normal American responses to people being mass murderers: put them in jail for 100 years or give them the chair. Lethal injection, some form of capital punishment, and we find ourselves at peace with their fate. The Israelis, they want you to be raped, amongst other things. That's normal. That's where their head go when they say, yo, this person wants to keep us from stealing their land from them. This person wants to defy our chosen energy as the best and the greatest to ever exist, and the chosen ones of God, of whom we don't believe exist. They must be raped. Like, that's not a normal thing Americans are gonna say, bro. We're not like that. That's not what we think should be done. That's not how we handle our enemies. That's not what we normally, within the sane of us and the agreeable amongst us, are going to turn to. We don't want that. That's wrong. Even if you're doing it to people who've done wrong, you don't want that done. You may think of that being a consequence of what happens when you find yourself in prison, for which is like a taboo you don't talk about. But to be honest with you, fuck you too, motherfucker. To be honest with you, it's not one of those situations that you're going to actually turn to. You're not going to think, whoa, that person needs to be raped. Not at all. Not at all. Because that's so depraved of the mind that your head ain't even going to take you there. And so as it comes down to it, you really think of yourself as a sane human being if you say things like they need to be killed. Now, if we take ourselves to a different space where people look at capital punishment as the worst thing in the world, then we may be looking depraved in their society when we say a person needs to be given the death penalty. We may look crazy to people when they say, yo, we want to put them in jail. They shouldn't be put in jail as it pertains to the norms of another type of people who handle things differently. So depravity may be described in our behavior based on their normalcy and how they handle things, which is much less harsh. Ain't gonna put you in a cage for the rest of your life. That seems so harsh to them. To us, that's how we handle things. Well, that's the disconnect. That's the disconnect. That's the disconnect. Because in this case, they genuinely agree amongst those they feel are normal in a space of society for which they can say, I'm safe in this presence of this person, think that the R word is a reasonable practice for handling their enemies. And so in the presence of me understanding and discovering that, as I come to discover that, I apply that disconnect possibility to other aspects of what I think they may consider normal versus ourselves, who may be revealed those things and think the worst of them because of it. I'm sure a lot of this comes from in my head. It's like, yo, if they think our word's normal, imagine what else they think is normal. Imagine what else they are able to eat dinner and discuss amongst people that they trust and that they break bread with, in regards to handling people they consider their enemies, or how they deem enemies. For us, we would deem an enemy somebody who wants to take our home, wants to, harm ourselves and our children, want to steal our money. Americans, that's an enemy, somebody who's going to disrespect you or what have you, right? And how we handle them, well, in a lot of cases, people want to fight. Maybe you want to go through the legal process and sue them. These are our norms here in America. We're litigious. We will sue you. That's how we get our get back. That's how we go about making sure you pay for what you've done. You give up some of your bread. You part with your money. You disrespect me. You phase me out of circumstances. You did it illegally. Now I can go about taking money from you. And that exchange of paper makes us feel like, okay, we got them. They have suffered. We've normalized that. And the sad thing is, there are a lot of people who can part with paper and not feel no learning of lessons whatsoever. But we agree that, hey, as long as I'm paid, I don't care if they learn lessons or not. I feel vindicated. I've been given what I'm just due. They parted with money. You see what I'm saying? Now, for a person who doesn't have a whole lot, or a person who's just, in a space where they're above average in their finances, it's going to be very harsh for them to get sued. It can really tank them. For somebody who's got all the money in the world, you can sue them for a good portion of what you think is wealth or what have you. You can sue them for a lot. They still got a lot. They ain't learned too much of a lesson. It may have hurt their feelings that they had to drop money, but it's not like you taught them anything. It's not like you vindicated yourself. Not really. But because we value money so much and think others value money so much, we will stand comforted in the idea that people have been, given what they deserve, or been forced into what it is they deserve, because they've had to part ways with money. Money for which they probably stole from somebody else. Money for which they probably have several other ways to make up just as quick as they send it to you. That's not a real thing. In a lot of cases, it's not a real thing. But we because of what it is we value, we run with it. That's what it is, money. That's all. I need it. You give it. Whatever you did to me, it's worth it. You might have beat me, essayed me, all this and that, but we can settle for a certain amount of money. Or if I take you to court, that money is really what I'm after. You can go to jail. Yeah, you can go to jail for sure. Go to jail. But if I don't get any money, I ain't get what I was supposed to get. Like, money seems to be settling all things. And the people who have rigged the money game, they're not interested in settling things with money. They want to settle things with your suffering. You see, that's what I've come to understand. They don't care for it. They're not sitting here saying we're going to sue you and you got your comeuppance that way, bleed you of your money, and no, that they will sue, most definitely, but it's not the vindicating. That's not what's going to relieve them in regards to them not getting their fairness out of you, or them being traumatized because of something you did. No, hell no. It's going to be the R word or some type of weird essay that they want to see done to you that's going to make them feel at peace in regards to knowing that you now have been given what you deserve as their enemy. That's a depravity as according to our norms. The way that we operate as Americans in the Western world, that's a depravity. There's no way I want to see anything like that happen to such and such, regardless of what they did to me. Do something else to them. Don't do that. But when it comes to these Israelis, do that. And so for me, I look around, I just say, man, you know what y'all dealing with? Do y'all have any idea what y'all dealing with? See, a lot of us understand the situation as it pertains to, okay, the Israelis own our government. And so long as we adhere to them, they also own a lot of what it is that we pay into, a lot of what it makes our country go. You know, it's stuff that they ultimately own. So if we choose to buck them or do anything in regards to them, we're putting ourselves in the strongest position to otherwise find ourselves without what we need. They could take something from us. But the reality is, they are already taking something from us because they control so much of what it is that we engage in and what it is that we use as our pastimes and what it is that we ultimately use to make our voices heard, and ultimately our banking system and all the other different things that make us go. And they're using our tax dollars to enact what their norms are against people they consider their enemies by way of the lens that they use, for which we don't agree with, that we don't have those same views. They deem their enemies as anybody that otherwise won't allow them to do whatever they want, even if it means stealing the land and treating those people poorly for 75 years. Anybody that would otherwise stop them from being that is their enemy. And as a result, they want to SA them. They want to kill their children. They want to wipe them from the face of the earth. They don't look through the lens that we do. They betray a lot of what it is that our norms are while using our money to engage in what it is that they consider their wars. They use our money, our tax dollars that we are forced into paying our government so that they could take that money and kill those people over there. Not for the reasons that we would deem someone an enemy, but for the reasons that we would deem somebody innocent. Innocent. That person wants to live, that person wants to raise their kids in the land that the Lord gave them. I don't see that person as an enemy. I see that person as a human being doing whatever the hell they do. They look at that as an enemy. Why? Because they want that land. You give me that land. You don't give me that land, you're my enemy, and now I want to do this, and this to you. No, world, like that's not how we operate. That's not who we are. That's not how we deem fairness and reasonable ways of doing things. And yet, this is what drives them to not only do what it is they do, but furthermore, to control our country the best way they know how, so that they can use our tax dollars to do the things that they do. See, these are the things that we have to understand as we go about our world, paying into our own country. They're taking that money that if you don't pay your country, you go to jail, that money, and they're using it the way they want to use it. That's money you would hope to go into different things that you believe would either fund different programs that you value, or fund, how your world works around you, making sure the water still pumps, making sure the power is still on, that type of thing. They're taking that money and they're sending it over there for their norms to fight their enemies, as they deem enemies being enemies. Not using your values in their intentions, but values that you would otherwise consider depraved, deeply sick, to determine their choices and actions. And so I tell all of you guys, if you've never heard anything like this out of anyone, I guess that's the purpose of my voice, is to give you some inclination that this is taking place. Some inclination, some idea, some slightest clue that this is what's happening out here. So that from here, when you see this reaffirmed in other conversations, as the world continues to learn about what's happening over there, you can say, yeah, I heard something like that before out of somebody. Somebody told me something like that. This is not the first time I've heard this. I think that's the purpose of my voice in regards to this conversation. Because a lot of this stuff sounds so extreme. A lot of this stuff sounds so out of order, out of whack, out of the realms of possibilities. But the reality is, this is what the evidence is going to tell you when you go down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out what's happening there. You're going to discover all of what it is I just said, and even more details that reaffirm what it is I've been talking about. That's exactly what's there to see. What the problem is, the American government is not going to share that information because they're on the wrong side of it. Your media is not going to share this information because they're also too owned by the people who want to do this. Your friend ain't going to describe this to you necessarily because they're under the propaganda machine that you are. So you're not going to hear this many places. You're not going to have this truth be provided to you by many people in the world around you, in this country and other countries. I'd assume it's a different story in some cases, but in our country, where it's very essential that our tax dollars be used to do this, of course they need the majority of us to be in the dark so that we don't mess up the process. They're using our money to do it. This is why it seems so abnormal to you that this would even be possible, because it's your money they're using to make it possible. They definitely can't have you getting in the way of that. They definitely can't have you getting some bleeding heart for these people that they decide are their enemies. You definitely can't have your norms getting in the way of their intentions. Your ideologies, your moral compass, that can't be getting in the way of what it is they're trying to do, as it pertains to what it is that they control over you. They're not going to let you and all of what your bleeding heart get in the way of them using your money to engage in these battles that they deem through their lens, their very depraved lens, is absolutely essential to their continued supremacy. And so in 2025, the only people who are really talking about this are the people protesting, and those who are on these platforms like Instagram and Telegram, who are literally showing you what's going on. They haven't done a great job of suppressing those people as of yet. They haven't done a great job. They've been trying to kill all the press members on the ground in Gaza. They've been trying to, but they'll just pop up. The information is still going through. They're still being broadcast everything in real time. No matter how many of these people they kill, there's still more that they've yet to get to in time to suppress the information, to suppress the images. It's still being shown to us. It's divine in a sense. It's like no matter how much they try to suppress it, the truth bleeds through for all time because it's recorded. And so it's not a whole lot they can do other than continue to engage in the art of propaganda and, influence the people through whatever it is they control and hoping that it holds. But people are starting to ask questions. People are starting to have conversations such as these. People are using their own platform in this era where everybody has a camera in their face like I do. You could tell the truth. You may have only a couple people talking or a couple people listening to you. But if a couple people talk to a couple people can talk to a couple more people, and all of a sudden the word spreads that way. It still bleeds through. And so that's why I think this is being done in this era. The timing from which they are being able to accomplish this provides a certain defense against them, in a sense that they can't do this in the dark. If they were to do this in 1972, they could effectively suppress it because not everybody's holding a camera phone in their hands. You know what I mean? But because they decided to do this in 2025, where the technology is present to blast them every which way in regards to what they're doing, Their propaganda only works but so much. You know, they have to ask themselves, why did we choose to do this now? Why is it that this is when we decide to pull the trigger on this genocide? We've had these people more or less under our control in Palestine for over 75 years. Why did we decide to annihilate them all now? Why would we go about doing this process at this time? October 7th being the last straw. Are you sure? I asked the Zionist Jew, are you sure? So October 7th was the last straw? Or were you coerced by some space outside of your control to be on the timing from which you are, to where you would enact all this awful nature in the presence of cameras, phones being held all over the place? It's called the presence of a living God who's looking to defend and ultimately put an end to what it is that you're doing. That's why you did it when you did it. That's why you didn't do it when you could get away with it, because it's never meant for you to get away with it. That's the presence of God. I'm telling y'all, that's the presence of God. They thought they were choosing to do something when they were choosing to do it. What they were actually doing is setting themselves up to be caught for it by way of what came naturally to them, which was to do it when they decided to do it. The timing of things is what we're talking about. When we talk about God's timing and the enemy's timing, God found himself in a space from which to control the timing of what it is they decided to enact, as he naturally does, since he controls everything surrounding. They think they're moving off the strength of their own thoughts. But just like I say about gangsters, in this environment, not having control over the walls, so too do not those gangsters at the top of our society not have control of the walls that ultimately confine them. This is the essence of the understanding that the devil is always trapped. No matter what level he's working on, no matter who he's working through. You're going to always do stuff that leave you vulnerable, and you're going to think it's within your choosing. You're going to think that you're a genius for choosing to do things at a certain time, only to do it in a space from which you'd be caught for it. You don't control the walls. These things are always layered on top of themselves, layered no matter what level of energy we're talking about. It's always layered, same application of understanding, same devil doing the same deeds in different areas. It never changes, no matter how small or how big the outcome or the intention. It's always the same math when it comes to these situations. The devil's people doing something that they think they can get away with, and ultimately them not controlling the environment that they're in at all. Or them controlling other people's environments, but not the one they're in. Controlling the environment as it pertains to other people's movement within the environment, but not ultimately their own. The same application. And I'll tell you the truth. I don't know what comes next, nor do I find myself too much concerned about it. I just continue to use my voice the way the Lord wants me to, and raising awareness for what comes against the people who can't defend themselves in this case, who continue to find themselves and their mortality being normalized amongst the rest of us, and their humanity being shunned. And I'm supposed to be quiet, I guess, because I'm supposed to be concerned about who's doing this to them or what they can do to me. But I already know I'm not safe so long as they control everything, and most importantly that they don't control everything, so that I am safe to speak against them as I do. I wouldn't encourage anybody to do anything that otherwise get them hurt or put them in positions to have their families in trouble or anything like that. I would never encourage you to follow that imprint. If it's not within your best interest to stand, you should probably be wise to protect yourself to the best of your ability. However, you do need to consider what good your voice can do when people are being put through horrible things that you can do something about. And there comes a time where a person has to stand, man. There comes a time where a person has to speak out and not just be interested in your own interests. for the understanding that not only are you a solution to the suffering of others, but when they're done with those people, they may turn their attention to you. And that's what we need to understand about the Zionist Jew. He may turn his attention to you after he's done with the Palestinian people. Maybe suddenly he wants you to turn toward him and value him in a way that gives up what it is that you feel you should. When he realizes that he could conquer the Palestinian people, who's to say he's not going to want to turn and conquer someone else? Who's to say that his bloodthirst ain't going to continue? As we talked about many times. And ain't no more Palestinian kids to kill. Who we going to kill? Who we going to turn his attention to? I can tell you what I think may happen when it's time after the Palestinians would be otherwise all wiped out. He going to turn his attention to somebody he wants to do a deal with. Okay, now we want to do a deal. But he's going to lopside that deal in such a way that is so unfair that you're going to be insulted into war. That's what I think is probably going to happen. And the Zionist Jew is going to want you to sell your land for like $3, which will back you into a space where you feel like you're being disrespected. And then from there, he can engage in deeming you an enemy and start annihilating your children and start doing all types of the stuff that he did to the Palestinians, knowing he got away with it, to you. And this is going to end up happening. They're going to turn their attention to somebody else, pick a fight with somebody else so they can continue on the process of feeding that bloodthirst. That is exactly what a psychopath is going to do. And so I want people to understand, you're not safe in a world that they quote unquote control, but don't control the walls themselves because they can't control when they do certain things they do. The choices that they make and the alignment of the timing of those choices aren't often controlled by them. They don't understand that they don't control the timing of things. They just think they're choosing things, but you're choosing it at a certain point in an hour. When did you choose it? You chose to do this at 8:30 in the morning. It was probably in your best interest to do it 6:30 in the morning. But you chose 8:30. And who controls the 8:30? Well, the God that you claim to have been chosen by but don't actually believe exists chose the 8:30. He controls the timing of what it is you do. He controls the climate surrounding your body as you do the things you do. So while you're making your decisions to do things that discard of other people's humanity, remember the timing. It's not controlled by you. You may think you're choosing a time, but he controls the time itself. You know, this aligns me with the thought that I had this morning as I was getting ready for the day. Listening to individuals at times say, why are you giving glory to God for your accomplishments? You accomplished that on your own. It wasn't God that accomplished that. Well, based on your scope of what it is that you see as being affected, yeah, you can come to that conclusion with your limited understanding, human being. The reality is there's a lot of things that God controls that have nothing to do with what it is I'm trying to accomplish. So as I go to thank God for helping me with the accomplishment, it's not the action that needs to be zeroed in on. It's the things going on around me that he leaves stable so that I can complete my action. Feeble mind. Because that's exactly what a mind is when they sit up talking about, I did this, I accomplished this, and that's it. Who controlled all of what was going on around you? Who's to stop that asteroid from hitting you in the head or that stray bullet from flying at your skull? Who's to stop you from catching a disease that would ultimately leave you without, or having a plane crash on your damn head? Huh? None of those things have any process to your, that none of that has any consequence to your outcomes? While you're trying to accomplish your goal that you don't exalt yourself for? I did the hard work. I accomplished that. Not God, me. Okay, if you can convince yourself of that, you're powered by your own energy, fine. But who was taking care of all the stuff around you so that you could be in a space from which to accomplish what you did? Who kept those things that would otherwise distract you away from you, ultimately making it so that those distractions that did come your way didn't destroy you or compound with more things that would ultimately derail you from your process? Do those things not matter? Who kept the ground safe up under you and the sky from polluting down upon you, as my mother used to pray at night? Does that not hold any weight in regards to your accomplishment? This is why I have no problem giving glory to God for what it is that I may accomplish with all of my hard work. Because my hard work is only made possible by him settling the score around me in the spaces what I cannot see, for which I cannot reach, that he keeps up off of me so that I can do what it is I do. I don't control the timing of such. I put in a certain amount of work. Do you know how much work he put into as well to assure that I was able to? Or does he not get any thanks for that? If you don't believe in God, fine. Then none of this is relevant to you because you don't think he has anything to do with anything, nor do you think he exists. That's your business. You can run with that. I don't harbor any retort for spiritual bankruptcy. But for those who call themselves people of God, or people who love God, or people who believe in God, but they don't want to exalt God in what it is that they accomplish, there are many variables that you are not considering when assessing your glory, your exhaustion, and how much applause you should be receiving. There are things going on and not going on, most importantly, that are only at the behest of the God that you claim to love so much but don't want to give any credit to. Those are the things that are most essential in allowing you to accomplish your goal. Not you and your ambition and the tools that you use to accomplish it, but him settling the score around you so that it didn't collapse on you so that you could complete it. This is the reality of God's glory. To deprave God of his glory is to ignore what it is he controls in the process of you doing whatever the heck it is you're doing in your little space. He kept that from happening, 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 and many other things that could take place to derail you from what it is you do. So while you may not want to give him the glory for powering you to do what it is you've done, do not think you behold what it is that he has done while you were doing it to assure that you were able to accomplish it. You're giving yourself way too much credit. You think you see more than you can. You don't see as much as you do. You believe you do, rather. Your eyes, they fail you, friend. Your scope, it only shows you so much. That's why it's so important to give God glory, because he controls things that you can't even fathom. He makes things safe for you that you don't even know are dangerous. He keeps stuff off of you that you don't even know is there. He watches your blind side that you ain't even paying attention to. While you're accomplishing what you're accomplishing, giving yourself all the glory, you don't see what it is that he's doing to keep the water stable around you. This is the reality of what it is that is going on, for which he deserves glory. Not just what it is that we can fathom, so therefore we say, yo, it's mine, I did this, it's me, it's my power. You don't control the world around you. How is anything yours? You didn't wake you up this morning. How is anything yours? Man wants to exalt himself, but he can't heal himself as things that come his way to take him out. We give God the glory for the time that you're given. We are all mortal. We all going to succumb to something. So while you sit up here giving yourself all the credit for all of your actions and all it is you accomplish, you do understand. The only reason why you even stand or even allowed to stand is because he gave you an opportunity to do so. He deserves his credit for that. While you sitting up here depraving him of his credit, do understand that he's at that same time doing something to make sure that you're safe enough to say those blasphemous words. Unless you don't believe in him entirely, then all of this is just happenstance, and therefore it is what you feel it is, and therefore there's nothing else to it. Like I said, I got nothing for the spiritually bankrupt. I can't do nothing for you. The devil's got a hold of you, whether you like it or not. You need to get your head together, get your relationship with God intact. I guarantee you, you will come to a certain enlightenment that allow you a more reasonable scope than to think that everything is a happenstance and that there's nothing in control of the things that are happening around you. Because believe me, the devil's hard at work, and so is God. So whether you believe in either one of them or not, they're still going to be using you one way or another. I can guarantee you that. Bdf 44, I'll take you off watching.